welcome to another episode of IT Pro TV. I'm your host, Mike Roderick, and with me today is Mr. Sean Oriano. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We've got another exciting episode of IT Pro TV coming your way. We've got our Kali Linux series going on right now. And in this episode, Sean, we're going to take another look at wireless. If you've missed our previous episode, go back into the library and check it out. We started talking about wireless networks in general and some of the different standards and some of the vulnerabilities that these wireless networks introduce. Now, Sean, we want to take a look at some of the tools we can use if we're doing a pen test and the company has a wireless network. What does Kali bring to us that we can use to test their network and things like that? So, Sean, let's talk about wireless again and what kind of tools we got available here in Kali.
Yeah, there is when we look at wireless. Yeah, we talked about just some of the different standards that are out there in our previous segment. Talked about Bluetooth. We talked about RFID, and we mentioned a little bit NFC. But those are the main types of wireless you're gonna see out there. But then there's but when we look at wireless in general, typically we're talking, like I said, 802.11. That's what most people associate with it. Now, as far as Kali goes, Kali actually has a lot of tools that can be used to assess and break into and do other stuff to 802.11 networks. They really came prepared in this area. Something I'm going to tell you about in here makes when you're using Kali in here is that there are ways to do this. We haven't bothered doing it here, but be aware of the fact that if you're running Kali in a virtualized environment, if you have a wireless card, it's not going to pick that wireless card. Typically, it's not going to pick that wireless card up as a wireless card. We both have a wireless card physically installed in these systems, like most computers do nowadays. And why Kali or the virtual system will pick it up, and Kali will pick it up because the virtual system picked it up. It will be picked up as a network connection, not a wireless, just a network connection. Mm-hmm. So that means that, as far as using really any of these wireless tools, you can't, because it's going to query it and look for the capabilities of a wireless device. And since it's not showing up as that, it's going to say no wireless device is found, and it will shut right down. Doesn't mean we can't, discuss and talk about the different tools and show some of the stuff in there. But we're not going to be breaking into any of them. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would add into this is that means that you've got a choice. You can in some cases get a USB wireless adapter and plug it in and do a pass-through on some of the virtualization platforms, and if you do that, it will pick up the wireless adapter you plug in as wireless in the virtual environment. VirtualBox will do that. And VMware is supposed to be able to do that. I never really got into doing it in VMware because I don't really use it all that often. So VirtualBox, I never really had any great luck with it. But it's supposed to be possible. I think you're saying Hyper-V does that?
Yeah, Hyper-V seems to work right. But then again, now that I think about it, when I was using that with Hyper-V, I was just able to get network access and talk to other machines. I don't know that Hyper-V represented it as a wireless network adapter, so it very well could be. So this might be one of the areas where if you want to practice with this stuff and play with Kali Linux and that, this is one of the areas where having it installed physically on a machine might be the best way to go. Virtualization lets me do a whole lot, but with the wireless adapters, the way they work, it's difficult to get that virtualized, at least now with what we've got. So yeah. Something to think about. If you're setting up a sandbox, you got an old laptop that you want to dual boot to or blow away and put Kali on there, and it's got a wireless adapter, then you can take full advantage of all these tools. And the same thing's going to go with the other ones, right? I mean, like Bluetooth, I would need some type of Bluetooth receiver on the machine that's running Kali, right, to take advantage of those tools and the RFID and the NFC type tools?
Yes, Kali in my case says, well, recognizes that Bluetooth is there, so let me turn it on and off, but don't think it really is turning on and off. It thinks it is, but I think it's just turning the service on and off. It's not actually doing anything with the physical state of the adapter on the actual machine itself.
That's because those devices, they're just not virtualized, right? The hardware I have in my computer might support Bluetooth, but it's not being virtualized by my virtualization platform and exposing it to the virtual machines.
Yeah, so definitely keep that in mind, and it's not uncommon for pen testers, just to have this installed on physical hardware anyway. That they do just grab an old notebook or something and put it on there and go from there. So there are some limitations in using it with this in this environment. This is one of the ones that is kind of is pretty much known, and there's always little workarounds that people have, but they just kind of seem to be never really all that great. I spent some some time trying to get the wireless adapter recognized in the virtual machine, and did it, and I was like, oh great. And then it was then when I realized, yeah, it's only recognized as a network adapter the first time I did it. It was like, that's not helping me, so I was still stuck. But if any of you guys find a way, hey, go ahead and go for it. Hey, share it with the rest of us too if you get it to work reliably. But with that being said, we're going to talk about the tools that are here for you to do your wireless audits, and there's just so many of them, and we'll take a look at a kind of a handful of these. So what I'm going to do is I have Kaylee sitting right up here on my screen again, and I am under the wireless attacks section of that menu, and you can see that we have our own menu dedicated to specifically to wireless attacks itself. So if we take a look, and I'll just scroll right on down here to give you the whole look at it, so you can see, yeah, it definitely does have a lot of things it comes to play with. And why we won't spend time on all of these, you can see that there are a heck of a lot of them there for you to do stuff with.
It looks like some of those then are designed to, like AirCrack, I recognize as a tool I can use to crack web passwords on wireless access points. Other ones in there look like they might be more geared towards just capturing data or finding wireless access points. So it looks like we've got a whole range of tools available.
Yeah, you really do. You really have a broad range of tools in here. The AirCrack one, yeah, that's one that was even mentioned, the CEH. That one is a command line tool that's specifically designed to go through and analyze traffic and boom, retrieve the keys out of it. By the way, the whole AirCrack NG suite is there. If you recall from the CEH, they call the whole thing AirCrack NG, and there's a bunch of stuff within it. Well, this is just one component of it. The whole thing is there. So that's just kind of one you can use to retrieve, especially see web keys down there. It's got a section right there on the right near the bottom of the screen there for I'll just move it up. This is just showing you stuff that you can do to retrieve web keys. So that's kind of a really good thing. And there's WPA stuff you can do. So it's got stuff in here that can definitely help you out. So that's AirCrack. That's one that is still very popular, because it does work very well. In fact, a lot of those tests where you see people will break and retrieve web keys in maybe 10 to 15 to 30 seconds. This is what they're using to do it, to actually retrieve it out of that data. But again, they're not the only ones that can do this. There's other tools that can do the same thing to retrieve keys, for you. So if I go to my my applications again, as we kind of pick through it, so there's my 802.11 stuff again. Other ones we have in there, I like some of these names, Bully and Cow Patty. You gotta love anything called Cow Patty when you click on it. Say, hey, look, it's Cow Patty. So look out for Cow Patties. So this is one that you can use to actually go through again and retrieve stuff out of a PCAP file. I wonder if they made a second version that's called Meadow Muffins. But all right, I've got way too much time on my hands. We figured out during the break that I'm eating too much sugar back here, so
I think so.
Getting hyper. All right, so we've got that, but let me point out some of these other ones we've got. This is one that people that they're starting to get more attention to, is this Fern Wi-Fi cracker. It is a GUI-based tool. I'm not going to worry about updating it, but what this one can do is, and yeah, it's not finding a wireless adapter on this system, but we've already been down that road. If we did have a wireless adapter on the system, what would happen is we would just select it off the list, and we could go through and tell it to start scanning for wireless access points, and it would scan and return a list back to us. And then once we're done, we could actually use this program to target it and help collect traffic and crack the key. This one is actually when it's working at its optimal, it will retrieve keys pretty quickly and break them. So it will retrieve the traffic and break those keys very, very quickly. So very, very neat utility to have. It may not be as fast and robust as using something like AirCrack is, but it has gained some popularity. If you don't want to learn a command line, you just don't feel comfortable with it, this could be an alternative. But do remember there are some limitations with that. Right. So that is just the Fern Wi-Fi deal or utility, and then just kind of browsing through this, just a couple other things to throw out here. Kismet, I won't worry about starting that one up. Kismet is a utility used to detect wireless access points, but what really kind of sets this one apart is that it has the ability to pick them up even if someone has cloaked them, turned off the broadcast, the SSID, it can still pick that up by just sitting there and listening for traffic as it flows by. It can sit there and read the frames that are floating through the air and figure out where they're going and tell you, hey, there's an access point there. That's not being why you can't see it. I can see stuff going to it, so I know it's there. It has the ability to do that. Also has the ability to do something else that's really cool. It can also read probe requests. So when your system is sitting there and has Kismet running, if I had Kismet running on this system right now, I would be any wireless device within range of this notebook when it would start popping up and saying as it starts sending out probe requests, as the wireless card was on, it would start sending out probe requests. This guy would pick up the probe request and say, yep, there you go. And it would, and you could usually tell it's a client pretty quickly, because if you don't look at any other stuff, you can see that it starts, that as it keeps going through different scan cycles, you'll see the same address looking for a different access point. Right. And so it's a really kind of interesting way to tell what someone's been doing or where they've been. With a little bit of social engineering, a little bit of common sense, you could actually start to track people using just those types of things. There's actually, if you guys really want to take a look at an interesting thing on it, you can go to the TED Talks. TED Talks have a guy by the name of James Lynn that's a security researcher, and he was showing how you can make a lot of really good guesses off of someone's probe requests on their device. So kind of an interesting but also kind of frightening one to a certain degree.
Yeah, that's a big security thing we talk about in our Windows classes. How if you're going to disable the broadcast SSID on the client, you should really turn off the auto connect. Nobody does, because that's a pain. That means I've got to type in the name of that access point that I want to connect to. But as you said, if I leave that auto connect on, that means as soon as it's in range of that wireless access point, it's going to connect, right? That's great. The problem is, how does it know when it's in range of that access point? Well, your card sits there and constantly sends out these probes. So you're at Starbucks, Sean's running Kismet, he sees your netbook or notebook looking for an access point called work 123 or whatever, and start picking up all kinds of information about it. So, and as you said, if I've got 5 or 6 listed there that are automatically connecting, you get all those, and you know all the places I like to hang out.
Yep.
So,
I also like to point out that you said I'm sitting there with Kismet. It would be me, because that's the type of stuff I do.
I know that, and DSniff, and what was that? The one that grabs all the pictures. I know you like that one too.
Oh, DriftNet.
DriftNet.
Yeah.
There you go. Got to have that one running.
Yeah, that's how I blackmail people.
So a lot of different tools then available for our wireless. I like that list. There's other ones in there, Sean, for Bluetooth. So it's got stuff I can do with Bluetooth as well.
Yes, there are ones in here for Bluetooth. It's got its own little menu in here, and the things we have are Bluetooth. They're actually quite interesting, really, when you get down to it. These all do stuff relating to all these do different things relating to Bluetooth. Some of them actually relate back to stuff we talked about in the CEH. We've got stuff like BT Scanner. BT Scanner, when this one will go through and start looking, it'll attach to a Bluetooth interface. Reason why it's not going to do that here is because we really can't see the Bluetooth interface, but what it'll do is it'll start running, and start sweeping the area using the Bluetooth interface and see what Bluetooth devices are around. And that can help you because it tells you the name and it tells you device ID. Once you have the device ID, which is essentially a MAC address, when you see that, now you have the specific address of that device. You can target it, and you can target it with one of our other attacks in there. Once you do know that, for example, if you go through this list, you use something like you use BT Scanner, you pick up a Bluetooth device, you can go down this list to something called Blue Snarfer. And again, we mentioned this one in the CEH course. What you can do with this one is you turn on Blue Sniffer or Snarfer. You can turn this on, and what you can do is you can actually target a specific Bluetooth device. You'll notice right here at the end it says BTADDR. That is that MAC address that you get from something like BT Scanner. You drop it in there, and then you can give it, for the rest of it, give it what options you think are going to give you the result that you want. Now, if you're wondering what those options are, what actions you can take, look through the list in here and kind of let it settle in and sink in what's happening. If you look down the list, what do you see? You see, the AT-CMD one right there up top, I guess, what you see there. You may remember the AT commands. Those are for those are the ones we used to use with modems. Okay, you can actually use the same things here to use someone's device as a modem to start pushing data through it, or even if you know what you're doing, making calls through that. Other ones we have, you go down the list, you can tell it to start retrieve stuff out of the actual SIM card. The phone, it says the phone book on here. You can read the dialed and received called list out of someone's device using this. Then you can even see, down towards the bottom, read the phone book, delete the phone book. So you could just blast someone's phone and just get rid of the whole deal for them. Imagine how much a mess that would be. How many of you actually know people's numbers in your cell phone now? You're like, what was that number again? You got to pick it out and go like this. That would mess you up if I did that to you. So that's something you could do. I always thought find someone I don't like and just swap their numbers around. Call it the wrong people.
I'd never be able to call my dad again.
I'd like to get a hold of you, but I just can't.
Yeah, Sean switched my numbers around. All right, so we got lots of tools we can do with Bluetooth. What else was in there? I was looking at that one. Oh, there was that one GUI one, that Blue Mako, I think it was called, or Blue Mahoo. Again, I can't get it to pick up our virtualized Bluetooth.
It's just not gonna do that. But this one combines just a number of things. This one's kind of doing what BT Scanner does, and it's got some of the stuff that Blue Snarfer can do. But it's got a nice little interface like this. As far as it working inside this virtual environment, no, it's not. It's just not going to do that. But it's another very capable utility. It'll sit there and scan and find them, and then you can start targeting those devices. So that's another kind of great thing. Something though I do want to mention, kind of shows you a little bit of the danger with Bluetooth, is you go to the Bluetooth tools, and here once again you'll notice that as we go through this list, we see something right here called Red Fang. If we open up Red Fang, what it will do for us is it's something that allows us to scan an area for Bluetooth devices that are really in essence just turned off, or discovery's turned off. So it can find them, and then it can actually do little manipulations on the device ID to start finding out what services that thing has exposed. And then once it has that and brute forces it and finds these things, it's something that now you've got the address for it. You can target it. Once you have that address, you can target it.
Even though it's turned off on that system.
Or even though discoverability is turned off.
Okay, gotcha.
The Bluetooth stuff is turned on, but the discoverability aspect of it's turned off. So it's not broadcasting out; it's there.
Great.
It's still on.
So we do the thing right. We turn off the discoverability, and you guys can still attack us.
Yeah.
Great.
and let me kind of throw something out here, a little piece of, I guess, maybe trivia when you're looking at something like Red Fang. Red Fang, I believe I mentioned it in passing in the CEH course. One of the things that is interesting about seeing it here, or significant about seeing it here like this, is that, yeah, you notice I just clicked on the menu and it came up and saying, what options do you want? How do you run this? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, doesn't seem like a big deal considering all the stuff we've been doing all week. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I said in passing in the CEH course is that this is very hard to find in a compiled form. They want you to have to compile it, and the reason why the creators of this did that is because they wanted the people that got this to make sure they knew what they were doing and understood, what they were undertaking. So they made it that, hey, if you really want to use this tool, you're going to have to either learn how to compile it, or you already have those skills, and they're hoping that someone that has that knowledge will be a little better behaved with it. Mm-hmm. And that was the idea. So it was very hard to find it in compiled form. So here in Kali, we can see I didn't do anything special. This is the exact same distro that you guys would download right off Kali.org. Mm-hmm. It's compiled right in there, ready for you to use. And so they're but I think that it's still kind of, is okay that it's compiled in there, because when you think about it, someone's getting Kali, we're hoping that someone's doing pen testing, is going to be a little more responsible. But of course, we know anybody can get a hold of it, so who knows? But hey, yeah, maybe it stops some people.
Right.
So,
Keep some of those script kiddies at bay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got lots of 802.11 type tools we can use. We got a lot of Bluetooth, and then there's even others in there that we haven't looked at yet, right?
Yeah, there's other ones you have, things for Zigbee, sitting in here, and then you even have stuff in here for RFID and NFC. If you really want to dig into, that, you can get into that stuff. There's just all sorts of things in here that you can monkey with if you really want to see what those do. I would tell you with the RFID stuff, those ones are getting to be just so popular now that you better start ramping up your knowledge on it, because they're using them in just so many places. I've got a friend that's he works over in Hawaii, and when he's in the place where he works, he was telling me that that one of the hotels gives their guests RFID lanyards with the RFID chip in it, and when they walk around, they always know where those people are. No matter when they walk around the facility for the whole time they're there, they know exactly where you are, and so they're tracking you the whole time, and then they can deliver certain content to you. So the idea is to give you a better experience, but it's also been shown RFID tags, people will do other stuff with it. They can beam stuff out to it and extract information off those tags. And once they do that, who knows? I mean, even to the next level on top of that, it had been found maybe about 4 or 5 years ago that you can even transmit malware through RFID tags, something that's not supposed to be able to do anything even close to that. Someone found a way to inject code that could spread malware into the RFID chip itself. So if you came by and it activated, it could actually spread it out to your device or whatever was reading it.
Wow.
So a little experimentation there. Someone found out how to do that with.
I mean, I like the idea of my pina colada being able to find me wherever I am in the hotel. That's a good thing, but I don't want anybody RFIDing any malware to me. We don't want that. So
I think they use that. I think they use the same type of technology at Disney World, I believe. RFID. So the RFID bands, so it's becoming popular in so many different places. Wow. And I'll tell you what, I have to go to Disney World again. I'm gonna need pina coladas.
All right. Well, I tell you what, Sean, that's a good look at a lot of different tools. Kali really does bring a lot to the table when it comes to wireless, from 802.11 to Bluetooth to near field communication to RFID. They got the whole gamut covered there. Again, the one big thing with that one, though, we've been talking all week about setting up your sandbox, using virtualization to start playing with these tools and practicing your pen test skills. The wireless one is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Probably better off finding an old machine and installing Kali on it physically, because most of these virtualization platforms don't virtualize the wireless in a way that it appears as a wireless device to the virtual machine. So that's unfortunate, but hey, that's just another reason to convince the spouse that you got to buy another machine and you got to install Kali on it and all that good stuff, right?
Of course, if you're a real hacker, you don't pay for it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Hacker, thief, no. I don't know.
You know, it's a fine line.
is.
I'm testing to see if you're paying attention. If you don't, it's mine now.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know, do remember when if you do need to purchase a piece of hardware to run Kali on, you don't need to go out there and buy one of these really top of the line notebooks or whatever.
Right.
To do that. You can actually buy a fairly, you know, mid-range or even low-range one that will work perfectly fine. This thing does not consume tons of resources, so you can run it on very little. I also believe, just you know, FYI, I'm looking on the Kali website. I believe they also have a version that works on what is it, tablets now?
Mm-hmm. On their ARM stuff?
Yeah, it's
believe so.
no, that's for Raspberry Pi. They've got
okay.
this one, the Net Hunter runs on Nexus devices. So you've got even other options, and I would tell you, I mean, take a look at that. It's running on a 10, a 7, and a 5.
And you know your phone has wireless and Bluetooth and near field and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
So.
And you can get the Nexus 5. That's a generation old, I believe, or maybe it is current generation. I don't know, but it is. You can get those things off eBay for a couple $100 and just go ahead and do your thing with it. And same thing with the Nexus 7. You can get those for pretty cheap, and Kali Linux is free. The thing I would remember with any of these devices, as opposed to using a notebook like we've been using here, is carrying around a tablet or on the other side a mobile phone. That's not conspicuous nowadays.
Right.
You know, someone's sitting there in the corner going tap 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 on their phone. They think you're either browsing the internet or checking text messages. Meanwhile, you're just sweeping their network and doing a bunch of nastiness with it.
That's
You
a
know,
good
so these things can be very easily concealed. So that's an extra advantage if you know, if you're going to be doing this sort of thing.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm on my way to eBay to find my Nexus right now. So. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this particular episode. We hope you enjoyed watching. Signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm Mike Roderick.
And I'm Sean Ariano.
And we'll see you next time.